Yes, the recording's underway now.
Okay.
Okay, welcome everybody to the April Couch Council meeting. Obviously, any emergencies in your own home you can deal with, and you'll notice that when you disappear quickly. Do we have any apologies, Peter?
No, none. No.
Okay. Any declarations of interest from anybody?
Not from me.
Okay. I've got to declare an interest in item 9 because I'm a trustee for Brixworth Centre. I'm quite happy to stay in the meeting to answer any questions, but obviously won't take part in any votes. If everyone's okay with that.
Yep, I'm quite with about that.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds fine.
Okay, item 4 is to agree to sign the minutes of the previous meeting. Paper A. Does everybody have a chance to read those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone happy? And if so, could we have somebody to propose and second it, please?
I don't mind seconding.
All those in favour? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 5 is the public open forum session. Jonathan, did you want to say anything on this?
Yeah, I really just intended to come along just for this session, really. I guess more of an open session to see if you guys needed any update on any of the volunteering activity at all. From the reporting side, there's not a lot to report. It seems to be doing what it needs to do. I know that we've got some volunteers that are probably more active than others. I do get the odd communication from some people saying they're not doing very much, but I think that was sort of probably what we expected with about 108 people in the mix. Mostly it seems to be prescription runs, odd bit of shopping for most people, but I think now we've got a lot of the stores like the local stores, but also Waitrose, Sainsbury's and others are doing special deliveries for people who are self-isolating. So I think the food shop seems to be less of a requirement. There is a leaflet which Peter and I have been liaising about, which is the official Northampton County Council leaflet. I don't know whether they've arrived with you yet, Peter, but I know that they've been batching them and getting them out.
No, they haven't come yet. We're waiting for a delivery slot.
Yeah. So we've basically said we're happy to use the volunteers to get those leaflets out. The reality is it provides information on the number that Northampton County Council have provided, which is already on the Facebook and various other sources. In some ways, it doesn't really add much to that that's out there already, but because it's an official flyer, we do intend to get that out. So as soon as we've got it, our plan will be to obviously get those distributed. So Peter and I have already had conversations about that to make sure we cover it off. We're trying to explore whether we can do a pie night. We've got a volunteer who's a chef, who's fully approved in the home kitchen sense as well from a health and safety point of view and hygiene point of view. She's furloughed. We put out a note on Facebook to see if we could generate any interest and what types of people might want something. It's not just for those that are self-isolating, it could be key workers too. We had lots of other volunteers volunteering to deliver the pies. Not much indication of demand. So I think what we're probably going to do is a small little A5 flyer at the same time that we send out the official flyer, just to see if we can get a demand. I mean, the idea really was just to provide an alternative so that those isolating could get a fresh pie at least one night a week. We're going to experiment with one night a week, but it may or may not take off. But we just thought it would be an added something within the setup of volunteering. But other than that, I don't think there's much more to add unless you've got any questions.
I haven't. I don't know if everybody else has.
No.
Okay.
No.
Actually, I have. No.
Okay.
Stephen.
Yes, go on in.
Sorry. Jonathan, have you had any coverage in the next issue of the Bulletin about your group?
Yeah, there's one of the volunteers actually, as far as I understand it, is writing an item for the bulletin, a lady called Tracy Coleman. So we've decided that it would be a good idea if it came from a volunteer rather than from us. But yes, as far as I know, that will get covered, but it will be covered by a volunteer.
Okay. So just to let you know, in our 4 pages, we have a chairman's chat.
Yeah.
And we've given just a small mention of your group in that chairman's chat.
Is that the item that Lena's done?
Yeah, but we've only got 4 pages, so we didn't have enough space to include the whole of that article. But what we'll do in the autumn issue is probably have a far more extensive coverage of what the council did and with whom.
Okay.
I just think that at the moment we're still in the midst of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, there should be something in the bulletin, hopefully.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comments or questions or comments to Jonathan?
No.
No, if we could just make Jonathan aware that we're looking at our emergency plan document to see how we can make it more relevant to all emergencies. And we could also look at incorporating that good neighbourhood scheme, Jonathan.
Yes.
And so perhaps we need to talk about merging our experiences and making it a workable document we can just pull off the shelf next time round.
Yeah, definitely. More than happy to do so. And I think once things settle a little bit more, I'm pretty confident that out of the 108 volunteers, there will be enough people that will be really keen to continue something on the Good Neighbour scheme. I probably shouldn't say that before we've asked, but I'd be very surprised if we couldn't get that up and running.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jonathan.
So I'm going to leave you to it. I probably won't add much to any of your other discussions this evening, so have a good meeting.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, then.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Chairman, within the public session, can I raise an email that I've had from Lisa Daniels?
Yes.
She's asking me to pass these comments on, so this is probably the best bit. She's a little bit concerned that we'll be cutting the daffodils back a little bit too early, and therefore they'll come up blind next year. And she says, in her view, she'd prefer a fabulous display of daffodils in March rather than an overgrown grass verge in April, rather than daffodils that aren't up to very much and short grass in April. So I think it's just, I've explained to Mark, only take them out when they've died back. But it's, like I say, it's a balancing job between keeping the village looking smart and keeping the daffodils viable for next year. It's a judgment call. But Lisa has asked me to mention it to the parish council.
Yeah. The problem is that we've had many volunteers plant those daffodils over the years, and it would seem a shame for them to be coming up blind for the sake of 4 weeks. I mean, they're going over now, but my garden, parts of my garden look a mess because I can't cut the daffodils down. But it's the same with the snowdrops. It's just one of those things, and I just think that if we can hold back, this will be the first time he's done it. So I don't understand why Mark is doing it early, because he's never done it this early before. I don't think
he had done it early. This email came in the 6th of April, and I assume she sent it before. But anyway, I'm speaking to Mark about it. So it's the parish council's wish that we leave it as long as possible, the grass cutting where there's daffodils.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll feed that back to Mark. That's useful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, as we move on, we've split the meeting up again into 2 sections. Part 1 for decisions, and then we'll do part 2 as in one go with the same information. Okay, item 6 is the monthly transactions, which is paper B. Now there was a revised paper B issued this afternoon, which hopefully everybody picked up on, although the only item that was affected on that was the bank transfer.
Okay.
Yeah, everything else remained the same. That's right.
Okay.
I mean, the bank transfer was just the total of the reserves and project money. It was just an incorrect maths item, so it was just picked up, so it was easy to alter that. Does anybody have any comments on the payments before we go on to proposals?
Just one, please, Chairman.
Yes, Ian.
Thank you, if I may. Can I ask Peter, please, what date items 6 and 7 were received?
Yes. If you give me 1 second, Councillor Barrett.
Thank you.
I've stamped that in as the 1st of April on both of those, and the payment's due within 14 days of the date of this account.
Well, actually, Chairman, with respect, we've been through this before many times, and I approached and I did in fact report this in the verification officer's report of the third quarter, beg your pardon, that it is in fact not a fortnight, it is a month. And if I can refer you to the Solicitors Act 1974, it's in section 69(1) and clearly says no action can be taken to recover any money due to a solicitor from a bill for at least a month. We do not need to pay after a fortnight. They ask for payment in a fortnight, but we don't have to pay within a fortnight. We have a month before any action can be taken. Now, what happens is if this is paid early, we've got £1,000 worth of bills here, we can't question, we can't ask for explanations, it's simply being paid. And I think, sorry, I really want these not to be paid retrospectively. They do not need to be, and in the interest of clarity and the ability for us to discuss things, it'd be great if in future they weren't.
I can raise that matter with William Gray Law to ask why it's 14 days. But I would assume when we signed the agreement with them, we must have signed a contract agreeing with their terms and conditions.
Well, in good fairness, I've got copies of bills from previous occasions with WG Law, and they quite clearly say 28 days.
This one, it doesn't anymore, Ian.
Well, they ask for payments within 14 days, yes, but it's not due till 28.
Yeah.
And also, a further matter on this one, it seems that we've got two, it's one court case, and they've split the account to keep each one under £1,000. Now, I think that's called disaggregation.
No, they're totally separate issues. One is for professional services, and the other one is the LPC Law Company that's done separate work on the skeleton argument. It attaches an invoice from work that somebody else has done. And I have noticed on the invoice, it does say we can charge interest on unpaid bills on debts over 1 month of delivery, so they won't charge interest between 14 days and 1 month.
Exactly.
But it does say terms 14 days on the front.
They want payment within 14 days, and we can be quite happy not paying for 28. It's the Solicitors Act 1974.
Can you check with that, please? Can you just
Yes,
say to them that in future we'll pay within 28 days?
Yeah, I'll check with them.
It's about the 4th time I brought this up.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it. Come on, let's move on.
But I do get, particularly smaller suppliers as well like to be paid quite quickly. Some of them like being paid by return. And it's difficult to make some of them wait 28 days. Very often bricks with one-man bands.
Peter.
Yeah.
But these are solicitors, Pete. And
yes, yeah.
We pay their professional services, and the law quite clearly says we can wait 28 days. And we've got now, someone might want to ask a question about this, they may have an objection to it, may want to see clarification. It can't be done, it's been paid.
Right, okay.
Okay, we'll deal with that.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. I've taken those comments on board.
Thank you. So the actions point's going to be then we're going to talk to the solicitors and point out we have a 28-day rota for paying, and can they please fit in with that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody happy with everything else?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to ask a question about that, if I could. a really quick question, but it may have been answered. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate perhaps some of the concerns being raised, but forgive my ignorance, I'm not sure of the difference between paying it now or paying it in another 2 weeks' time. What is it we're questioning here? What is the concern here?
If I can answer that, Chairman, first, it's against our financial regulations, and secondly, it doesn't give us a chance to discuss a bill of £1,000 that has been paid. If it's paid within 28 days, we would have a chance for a general meeting in the meantime when we could discuss what that particular bill was.
Right. And are there any concerns at the moment about paying that?
Well, we haven't seen it, so we don't know.
Okay.
It's been paid.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Can we have a proposal and a seconder then to pay the bills?
I'll propose.
Thanks, Sandra.
I'm happy to second.
Okay.
Okay.
Who was that?
I think it was me, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Thank you,
Got
Stuart.
ahead of me.
All those in favour of paying the bills then, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, paper C is the finance report from the working group. Again, hopefully everyone's had a chance to read and digest that.
Yeah.
There's 3 recommendations for the parish council to consider. One is pitch hire rates are to be reduced pro rata at an estimated maximum cost of £2,500 to be met from general reserves. The amounts identified for earmark reserves in the capital account 2020-2021 budget is to be transferred from the revenue account to the capital account, and the grounds maintenance contract is to be extended to the 31st of July in accordance with Financial Regulations 11A4. That's purely because, as it's been identified earlier, the grounds maintenance contract has run out, and now is not really the right time to start going out for competitive quotes to get people to come and visit the grounds. So the proposal is really to extend that to the 31st of July. R&G are doing a good job. They've got a chance to catch up, especially now with nobody using the pitches to get them back and the grounds in order. We feel that might be a sensible way to go.
Can I ask a question? It's like,
Yes.
why 31st of July? Is there some kind of limit to how long we can extend the contract for? Because at the moment we don't know that anything's necessarily going to be better in that period of time.
It was as good as date as any, to be quite honest. There was
Surely it's on cost.
well, no, because the work they're doing now is going to be agreed based on the rates they've already been charging.
No, I mean it's it'll uplift the total cost of the contract. So if it goes over, you should actually be out, if it falls below the regulations, you should actually be able to extend it until next March.
That's good. I mean, at the moment they're under the contract value because during the winter they couldn't carry out all the work that was needed because of how wet the ground was. But we thought we could get tenders out over the summer and hopefully get a contractor in place after that time in July.
Oh, okay. So you're not happy with the current contractor? Is
No,
that
we're very happy.
Oh, right, okay.
It's just, as you know, it's just processes and best value checks.
Yeah. Can I just have a query on this report from the working group? I haven't seen the other 2 bids. Are we supposed to have seen the other 2 bids for the Section 106 money?
What you refer? Sorry, on the 106.
Yeah, number 6, which is the Section 106 funding. When are we going to see the bids to look to review?
We're going to get moving in the next month on that. I've going to have a discussion with somebody from Daventry on the way forward, and we've got questions on VAT and potential extended timescales. But we're going to get moving on that. We've got all the external bids in, and then we've got the 2 internal bids to consider. But it will come to a point where the parish council needs to make decisions on what happens at St David's. That's the critical bit.
Have the internal bids been written? Have we got those?
We've had drafts through, and we're working on an amended one because it's more comprehensive. It takes a wider area. That we were looking at initially Yamuga, and now we're looking at a much wider area to incorporate a park and new swings, etc.
Okay.
So that's just one of the companies just coming up with a draft scheme for us.
That was delivered to me today.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Lovely. Oh, lovely. Okay.
Any other comments on the recommendations or the report, finance working group report?
No.
Okay, can we have a proposal that we implement those recommendations?
Yes.
Thanks, Sandra. Second, anybody?
I'll second that.
All those in favour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Item 8 is paper D, which is the verification for quarter 4. So if we have a look at paper D, obviously Ian meeting up with Peter is something that can't happen at the moment to go through the various paperwork. We believe we've got 3 options at the moment, which are outlined in the report. First one is Parish Council could waive the process on a one-off basis with special circumstances. Secondly, there could be a more limited approach to verification, i.e. view a small number of requested transactions and scanned images, and this could be followed up by a video conferencing meeting. Or 3, have a full verification process when the restrictions are lifted. Ian, I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, really, if we're going to have the 3 months worth of transactions, and if we were to ask Peter to scan the pieces of paper, I've estimated as 480 sheets of paper approximately. Now that, even at a minute per sheet, add on to the time it would take to discuss them, and I think you're talking about 9 hours. Now, I've got 9 hours, but I doubt if Peter's got 9 hours when he's just sitting around doing nothing. And I don't think we can use his time efficiently by doing it that way. So a full audit, I'm happy to do it if it's the council's wish, but realistically, I think we've got to shortcut it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to leave it, or?
Well, the external auditor is going to want to see some evidence.
Okay. So do you want to do a limited?
I would like to do something. My own view is to do at least something, even if it's not if it's only a desk exercise. If it's not thorough, maybe, but I think we should do something. I don't know what Peter feels about that.
Yeah, I think if you pick two or 3 at random for each month, that's only 9 orders, 9 invoices. Yeah. And I can write the trail out on order through to invoice, through to bank statement, and you could ask any questions from there. And we could do that using Teams.
Yeah, there's about 8 questions I ask for every transaction.
Yeah.
And 5 of them I can do as a desktop exercise. I can go from the minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, did the council give permission for that money to be spent? I can get that from the minutes.
Yes.
So all these items I can check every item with 5 of those things I need to look for. So I'm happy to do that. And then perhaps take a selection that Peter could go through the whole string, including bank statements, scans and things. Then we could do that as a sample. Maybe that's a way forward. I'm happy to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to sort of start making it too onerous for sort of people scanning hundreds of documents.
Couldn't do it.
Time consuming. Anybody else have any comments?
No, I agree. Limit it.
So
Okay,
limited to 2 or 3 documents per month.
Yeah.
So a maximum of 9 for the quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you okay with that, Ian?
That's
You don't
fine.
have an internal auditor, do you? Like an external one?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
This is verification. Rather
Oh,
than
this is in addition to that.
This is the quarterly verification.
Okay.
Okay, I'll propose then that we go for option 2, which is there could be a more limited approach to verification, viewing a small number of requested transactions and scanned images to be provided. This could then be followed by a video conferencing meeting. So I would propose that we adopt that. Do you have a second for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Compton, thank you.
Yeah. All those in favour of that? Everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, item 9 is grant application, which is paper E. Obviously, as a trustee, I do know a fair bit about this, so I'm quite willing to answer questions.
Well, I've got a question.
Yeah.
I don't know if it meets our grant policy because it's a county council building.
It's leased to the centre, as you know.
Yeah.
And we're on a
But
full
the
and repair
statutory
lease.
body, but they're still the statutory body, though, aren't they? Sorry for talking over you, Jackie.
No, it's okay.
We're on
Is
a
that-
full repairing lease.
Yeah, but if that building burst into flames, who would be responsible for it? Who would be claiming on the insurance for the rebuild of that building?
That's a very good question because the county council at the moment are refusing to insure anything on it. Despite what
That's
the
very irresponsible because you've got members of the public using that building, and if anything happens, then any insurance company will look for any excuse not to pay out. So surely that is a priority to make sure that you've got buildings and contents insurance,
We've got contents insurance,
but not buildings insurance.
but the insurance for the building should be with the county council. But I think they self-insure, so they don't actually have insurance policies. It comes out of their general reserves.
Okay, but my question, sorry, Jackie, my question is that the county council are the statutory body for this building, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first line in our grants policy. Is the exclusion is that projects that are the responsibility of the statutory body.
You've got R&M on it.
It's an R&M lease.
So there's an R&M lease, it just passes over.
Okay, my second question is that I think £5,000 would take up all of our annual grant, wouldn't it? And I also wondered whether the trustees have raised any money towards. I know the windows have been an issue for a long time, for many, many years, and whether the trustees have raised any money or the groups that use the building have raised any money towards the windows, or if any of them have yet been replaced.
So I'll answer the last one first. No, they haven't. None of the windows have been replaced.
Right. Okay.
We are looking to put probably £12,000 out of our own money into it. So we have got a reserve to go towards it, but that will literally take a lot of the money that we have. We're also looking to go to Daventry to see if they've got any money. We're in the process of doing all those applications at the moment, together with the planning application. So, I mean, it's more of a sort of principle thing at the moment. Would the parish council be willing to give us a grant towards it? We don't need it this month or next month, because obviously we're a fair way down with planning and everything to go.
Do you think you should come back when you've got all that in place?
Well, we know what the cost is. It's, as I say, we're not looking for the money now. It's the principle of the thing. But, we'd be quite happy to have a letter or an email saying, yes, the parish council are prepared to give a grant of X towards it.
We've got £16,200 in the budget for grants.
How much?
£16,221.
Have we?
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that line? Sorry, this is probably where I get confused. We've got community grants. That's £5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? How does that differ from the 16,000?
Because that 5,000 it's put into an earmarked pot called community grants within the earmarked reserves budget. And in that budget, we had the £1,500 that came back from the Brixworth Music Festival, so that's been added back in, and we had £9,721 left over from last year. So the 5,000 budget plus the £1,500 adds 6,500 to the existing budget of 9,700. That gives us over £16,000 to allocate to community groups.
Because we've got an underspend, so therefore we've got this pot of money that needs spending.
That's the beauty of having it in earmarked reserves. It carries on from one year to the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think for me personally, it's still a little bit woolly in that you're still approaching Daventry and other ways of raising money. We haven't got 3 quotes either, have we?
No, you've got 4.
There's 4.
Where? I can't find. I could see them.
Paper at the end before the grants policy.
Yeah.
And after the budget, after the sideways bit of paper.
Yes, page 15.
Oh, we're on the wrong way around. Oh no.
Yeah, but the next one's not. Keep going up.
That's it.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So my apologies. I didn't see that. Right. Okay.
Can I ask
that's fine. So
as well?
That's fine.
Can I ask?
Can I also?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sat here with my hand up and no one's noticing.
We can't see you.
So you've got to speak, Stuart, to get on the screen.
Okay, I'll try that. That's all right.
My question was, or my statement, I suppose, is that it seems a good thing to put money towards in principle. In that there's a lot of community. It's a very well used resource by a lot of groups, even more so perhaps than some of the other buildings, because it's got a wide variety of groups that use it. So if it's going towards the main things, I think it would be an effective way of spending the money. And we do have money, if we do have money to spend, which it sounds like we do. I was looking through all of it's not a constitution, but whatever it is that's been sent. Is that all up to date? Well, it looks like, Stephen, you can answer this question. Because I know, for example, there's representatives of so many groups that are on it, and one of them's a group that, as far as I'm aware, hasn't met for a while, because I used to run it.
No, I mean, that's the constitution as when we become a charity. So things, alter, but you don't alter the constitution every time somebody joins or leaves.
Okay.
I would agree. I think it's a really good idea in principle, because obviously you've got to get Daventry's permission. But I'd really definitely support this.
I don't think you need Daventry's permission, do you?
Well, we need their planning permission.
Oh, planning. You're talking about planning. Yeah. Okay.
Is the risk that this building, we could put the money in, this building could be maintained, but the risk is that it could be taken back by the council? Is that the problem with it?
I think we've still got 50 years of the lease to go. So
it's not imminent.
no.
The chances were, Chairman, if they did take it back, they wanted it in good order.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Stephen, may I ask a question, please?
Yes.
You've mentioned about the application for a grant, or possible grant from Daventry District Council, and you mentioned your own funds as well. What is the current shortfall then? If the parish council was minded to provide the grant of 5k, how is the balance being met up, and when do you think that will be in place?
Well, we was hoping to try and get it done in the school holidays, but I mean, obviously, we're not going to be able to do that now. But there again, we don't know when the school holiday is going to finish, do we? I think we're going to be probably 7 or 8 weeks before we even know about planning. Daventry's decisions on grants should be end of May. Should be the end of May. Daventry have a scoring mechanism on the grants, so you can apply for what you want, but how they score it then gives their final verdict. They have a scoring matrix that they have, and they mark each question, and then that determines the percentage of the grant or the percentage of what you've asked for. So if you ask for 10,000 and you scored 60%, then most they will give you £6,000.
Right, okay. So you're obviously reliant upon the final part of the funds to come from Daventry then, is that right? Do I understand that correctly?
I'm not totally reliant, but if we had money from Daventry, that makes the whole thing more feasible, and it still gives us a contingency for anything else we need to spend at the centre.
Right, because you mentioned 12k of your own funds, is that correct?
Yeah.
And the lowest quotation is 23.5. Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. It says that the windows have been repaired repeatedly over the years. Yes. I don't know if you can share any details about that and the success of those repairs, and also whether those repairs, where they've been done, may actually prove unsafe now after all this time. Are there any safety issues with these windows at the moment?
Yes, there are. Some of the timber is absolutely rotten, and some of it is literally sort of nailed together to hold it in place. There's one window in particular where it is literally nailed together to hold the thing to stop it falling. You can see daylight through some of the windows now. The county council in the past did carry out a number of repairs. We, as the centre, refurbished the whole place with a grant from CETA a good few years ago, and we had all the windows repaired with epoxy systems, and we've got nowhere else to go now. We can't put epoxy into nothing. It's now sort of gone past the stage of doing sort of sensible repairs. We've had a meeting with Daventry Planning as well on a pre-app, and they've noticed the state of the window, shall we say. There's one window that's in good repair, which is facing the church, and the ones up the lane by the side there are also in good repair. It's just the big ones facing onto the playground.
So this is more a health and safety issue than an aesthetics issue necessarily.
Well, it's health and safety, environment, because obviously double glaze will save us a fortune on heating bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, aesthetically it doesn't look good either. So it's a mixture of everything, to be honest.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Can I ask? Can you have I presume when you say double glazed, they're going to be white UPVC or wood.
The lady from the conservation area has said they would prefer timber, but if we can put a case for using UPVC, they will look at that as well, because they're keen on the environmental aspect as well. So if timber would only be single glazed, which is not good for the environment now.
No,
So
you can get double glazed.
Sorry?
You can get double glazed wooden windows. You can definitely get double glazed wooden windows.
Not to match what they want down there. Because they want to match the frame sizes and everything.
You're not going to do that with plastic.
The plastic size is exactly the same size as the timber, and we can get double glazed, and she's insisted on having transom bars on the outside of the glass and not inside. So yeah, we've been through it. We've agreed a UPV system with her that she's fine with, which is a flush fit one. So she said what she wants as a UPVC, which is what we'd actually obtained if we get that through planning.
So, is there a difference between the quotes, the white UPVC and wood?
Yes, timber's about 50% more.
Okay.
Plus the obviously ongoing maintenance every few years with decorating.
Is there any difference with contents insurance between the two types of frames? Is one more secure than the other? Will there be an impact there?
Well, double glazed would be better than single glazed.
They still both react to a stone in much the same way, though, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we haven't had any damage down there for a few years now, so hopefully they've moved on from that area of the village.
Okay, right. Can I just say, I just think that you're still a long way off from us having to agree any amount of money, whether it's £5,000 or £500, because you've got a shortfall of, at the moment, all you've got is £12,000, and you're looking for another £12,000. You don't know how much money is coming from Daventry, and you could possibly be fundraising from other sources as well. And so I'm thinking that this is more of a decision to, does Brixwood Parish Council agree in principle that it would grant some money to be decided in the future? It's not what this conversation is about.
Yes, in essence it is, yes. But I need not take part in this bit.
I think that's a reasonable approach, actually, that the issue should be agree in principle to perhaps an undefined amount when other factors are known, whether or not Daventry will accept or provide a grant.
Clap for NHS. Clap for NHS.
And also Colonel Tom Moore.
Excuse me, just going outside.
Yeah. We've got the windows open. Jackie, go and get your saucepan and your wooden spoon.
Well, Madeline across the road goes out with her tambourine and walks around the close.
A tambourine, bless.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a bit of a whistle, hang on. That's my whistle.
Most unladylike, Sandra.
Come on, Stuart.
I don't think clapping is going to fix the NHS.
I don't think so either.
But good luck.
Oh, I can hear clattering.
Like Sandra, you'll be able to do the next bit.
done. Okay. Pardon? Oh, Stuart's gone. We're late. Are we all in the room now? No.
Carry on then.
Is everybody back? I don't know. Where Stuart? Are you here?
I am.
He's there.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I've
So-
just opening my window.
We've lost you. We've lost your picture.
You don't want to be looking at me.
Oh,
So, Sandra, so you can take the lead on this bit then for
Better out of the video, I
resolution.
Right, so can I propose that in principle we will consider a grant in the future once we have further details of other fundraising sources and the planning application, whether that's accepted or not.
What's that noise?
What is that?
Oh, it's the kettle going. Oh, a cup of tea.
Where's it going?
Okay.
What would you not want me to do?
This is so unprofessional.
Stick to wine.
The
It's
kettle off.
quieter.
Oh.
Is that a proposal then, Sandra?
Yeah, it wasn't very eloquent, but yes, yeah. So basically, the proposal is that in principle we will consider a grant in the future once we know the outcome of the planning application and any further funding that they may have.
I mean, I'd be happy to support that. It is
Yeah.
for the community, and there are some safety risks if we don't do something. I don't think we've really got too many choices with this. We have to
No.
support it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Is that?
Asking like who?
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I'd actually like the style and materials of the windows to be looked into a little bit more carefully than it's
Yeah.
been, because I do believe that there are still the options available which haven't yet been explored. And I wouldn't be very happy to sort of agree to this. No, that hasn't been done. So in principle, yes, but I would prefer that the options are looked at in a bit more detail.
Well, it sounds to me like even if we vote for this, we're not actually agreeing to do anything about it just yet. On the basis of what Sandra's proposed, Sandra, would you envisage that they would still have to come back to us with another grant application?
Yeah, a completely fresh grant application, because this one is still missing. You know, there's a big. At the moment, there's only £12,000, and even if we gave £5,000, which is a huge amount of money, there's still a shortfall of another £7,000. Do you know what I mean?
So
and I agree with Francis that if the planning officer comes along, and says, if the planning officer comes along and says, no, I'm sorry, it's going to have to be wood because of the conservation area, we're looking at another 50%.
Yeah.
So I think today it's about, in principle, we want to help the building, as Stuart said. I haven't got a problem with helping the building, but I think there's still a lot of holes in this at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, there's too many unknowns.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it has been approved by the Conservation Officer of Daventry, which is in their favour. And I'm just wondering if we don't put an amount on it, I'm not saying we should, but if we don't, is it going to be any use supporting them? What good's the support going to be?
Well, no, we have a letter of principle that we will support them, but we just don't put an amount on it.
Well, what use is that, with respect?
Well, you sort of can't still approve something in principle. It's a case of do we think this is a good cause or don't we? And if we do, then we can approve it in principle. But there are so many details concerned, relating to this that haven't sort of been worked out yet, if you know what I mean. There's too many unknown quantities with it, and until that can be resolved, you can't put a figure on it. But we do realise that perhaps something does need doing about the windows, and therefore, in principle, yes, that's the idea. But we can't say, how much yet, because we can always start from that point of view that perhaps it's a bit soon to put the grant in the application in this moment. This is something that there's so much about it which isn't yet known and is yet to be quantified.
Well, if that's possible, then I second Sandra's proposal.
Well, I'd support Sandra's proposal as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would. Can I just say, the planning is sort of a red herring. It's nothing to do with this at all.
No. But I do think that, as Francis is saying and the others, that there are too many. It's still too vague. It's not solid enough an application for me to want to go ahead with it. But the principle is there, and I think we're all in agreement with the principle of it. And let's have a look at it in another 6 weeks or 6 months or whenever.
So we'd have to wait for them to come back, wouldn't we? With the additional information. But the only additional information, as far as I can see, is what money Daventry would give.
Yeah.
For me, the person who... fundraising is always a nuisance, but Dennis Coles is extraordinary, at snipping out money, and maybe what the committee should be doing, the community centre committee should be doing, is actually going to Dennis and asking for advice to see where there are other sources of funding.
Sandra, may I comment? On the next document we're going to look at, item 1, conditions of funding, says grants will not be paid until the entire cost relating to the application has been secured. In cases where other source of blah blah blah, you must know it yourself. So really, the option there is to provide a conditional offer in writing until the rest of the money has been secured.
Yeah,
so
we've had
the council, is safeguarded, isn't it?
It's we had a situation in the past, as you're aware, that we gave money and they never raised the money, the remaining money for their project, but they still kept our money. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen this time round. I just don't see the point of throwing money at this when they're so far off from getting the total amount that they need, and there isn't a planning application in place either.
So if we support this, we're just supporting it by way of conditional offer.
Yeah.
But what's the conditional offer?
Well, it doesn't have to be a financial conditional offer, though, does it?
Quite simple, really. That all fixed costs are known rather than estimated, and all the funding is in place from other sources.
How do we all feel?
Can I just throw something else into the mix? If we turn this down, this is a formal application for £5,000. If we turn it down, they can't apply for another 12 months.
No, I don't think that's quite right. They can't have 2 grants within 12 months. But they're not receiving a grant. They're receiving a principle of we're supporting this, but they're not receiving anything, are they?
May I read from the regulations, please? It says grants will not be made retrospectively, right? That's not of any interest. Only one grant application per financial year, and the parish council won't commit for future years. And where have we got it? I'll read it. Yes, they can make one grant application per financial year. That's in the preamble page. So if we turn it down tonight, which we may well do, it does mean they can't come back to us in a couple of months and say, oh, actually, we want to apply again, we know the figures now.
Well, then we put this application on hold. So it's still viable, it's still valid, it's still applicable, but we're just putting it on hold
So it might be
until
better
they've got further details. Like we've sent other people off, other applicants off in the past to say, please come back with your 3 quotes. And they've come back with their 3 quotes. We're asking for further information. That's all we're doing.
I'm saying we must make sure we don't turn this down, otherwise we cut their chances off of coming back to us.
We're not turning it down. We're saying, please come back with further information.
Provided it sticks at that, then that's probably all right.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't want
Can
to
we
do by
move
mistake
forward?
reject this.
We're not rejecting it.
Well,
That's
so
fine.
can I just speak, please? I think I agree, Tom. It's what you were saying, Councillor Mitchell, is to actually accept the grant in principle, because we don't have to actually pay it out unless they give us the further information.
Yes, effectively it's a conditional offer, isn't it? Until all fixed costs are known.
And put the money, put the actual amount in.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'd agree with Tom completely, but we just give them something in writing so they can go ahead with anything else they need to do, looking for further money, but it's the conditional offer based on the finances.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's basically what Simon
But isn't that going back to what Kevin is saying? This is all bit mapped.
You do need to put the amount. You do need to say it's a conditional offer of £5,000 subject to your funding.
Well, can we not say a conditional offer up to a maximum of £5,000?
We can, yeah. That's a good idea.
I don't think we should agree on a fixed number at this time.
No. But say up to £5,000, depending on their match funding they're getting from other sources.
Yeah.
Super.
Okay.
Are we all agreed on that? I'm a bit lost now.
I think we need to do a new proposal. If I can take back my proposal, and maybe Tom, can you put yours on the table? I mean, they're essentially the same, but yours just sounded nicer than mine.
Yes, it is actually. I think we should provide a conditional offer up to a maximum of £5,000, and that conditional upon all fixed costs are known and all other funding is in place.
And anything to do with planning?
Well, I think that's probably academic, because I think the planning may well drive the final solution. So if, for example, they are insisting upon timber windows or something that's more akin to heritage conservation area, then the quotations that's been provided could change dramatically.
Yeah.
Could I not just suggest that the rest of that is fairly superfluous? It's got to meet the requirements of our grant to give the money anyway. So surely what we're agreeing here is to pay up to £5,000. Everything else must be in place. They must have the fixed costs. We must know what those costs are. The rest of the sum of money must be in place. That's per our policy, our grant policy.
That's right.
If it isn't, we don't pay it.
Conditions of funding. Yeah.
So I just wonder why we need to make it that conditional The condition's already built into the grant. Surely we're just agreeing to pay up to £5,000 if the requirements of the grant are met.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very succinct.
Yeah, quite right. It does say though the conditional offer in writing from may be provided. So whether the council supports it wholeheartedly or provides a conditional offer depends on your grant's policy, doesn't it?
Yes.
What's going on now?
I've lost the will to live now, I think.
I'm really hungry. I can smell my dinner.
It's like roast, isn't it?
Right, what's going on now?
Well, I think I'm just suggesting we can make this quite a concise proposal. We don't need to start putting in all sorts of conditions. Those are already within our grants policy. So if anyone would like to word it in that way, it's fine.
You say it.
Okay, well, I propose we can agree in principle to award up to £5,000 of grant towards this, provided the requirements of our grant are met.
Okay.
I think that's what we've been saying anyway, isn't it, really? But slightly different.
Well, yeah,
Whatever you say, I agree
it's been
with.
seconded.
So did Stuart propose that?
Yeah.
And have we got a seconder?
Second.
Everyone.
Who shouted
Yeah.
second? I need a name.
Okay. Tom.
Sandra.
Yeah.
Tom.
Tina.
It's like Councillor Bingo, this.
Put my name down, Peter.
So proposed by Councillor Stewart, co-seconded by Councillor Mitchell. And is that unanimous? Is there any abstentions?
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Jack.
We got there in the end. Thank you, everybody. Is Councillor James still with us? Has he gone? Is Councillor James taking over the chair?
Yeah, I'll go back on.
Oh, he's here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on then. The new grants policy.
We can change it so you can't apply now.
I think this is the final version of what we agreed a couple of months ago, isn't it?
Yes.
Looks like it's me.
Hang on a minute.
Yes, the Finance Working Party took the comments from the Parish Council, and it was discussed with Councillor Bird joined us for that agenda item, and we've incorporated all the comments from the council meeting and from Councillor Bird, and that's the final version that you have this evening.
Where's the bit? Is there something about a maximum amount or a maximum percentage in here somewhere?
No, I don't think there's ever been that figure.
Didn't go in.
Did you not discuss that, Jackie?
We did discuss it, didn't we?
It's
Well,
never.
it was written on my list that I put in up to, was it 50%?
It's not in there.
It's not in there. We
No.
didn't discuss it at council, and we didn't discuss it at. Was it that the one that at your meeting with Sandra when you went through it first time?
Yeah. Jack and I had a meeting. I couldn't make the finance meeting, so Jackie took our meeting notes to your finance meeting.
No, it went to council first, and some things were taken out. I think this is from memory. I think we thought some organisations couldn't afford to put 50% of things in, particularly one starting off, and we said each application would be judged on its merits. So, for example, if you were just setting up a football club or whatever, you haven't got a penny to start with. You might need 100. You might need 100%.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was discussed at the council meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the 50. The reason why Jackie and I discussed the no more than 50% was to encourage people, organisations, to try and find funding from other places other than the parish council. And that's not an uncommon thing. When you look at other grants policies, especially local government grants policies, you will often see a stipulation in there that we will give you no more than 50%, because you have to go and try and do your own fundraising from other sources. And that's what Jackie and I were trying to.
We do ask for evidence that they've been fundraising elsewhere, and we also say if they've got money in the bank account, they're expected to use that before asking for grants. If it's in excess, I think is it 2 years revenue cost?
2 years, yeah. 2 years.
We
If
also
they've got
say,
more than 2 years running reserves of running costs or whatever, then they're not eligible.
Yeah, in point 10 of the conditions of funding, we say the parish council reserves the right to offer part funding. So we've got that in there. We just don't put a percentage there.
Yeah.
That leaves it flexible then.
Yes.
It does.
Okay. Jackie, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, because we can make that decision at the time, can't we?
Yeah. Well, if Jackie's happy, I'm happy.
Anybody else?
You
Other
just want
comment?
your dinner, don't you?
Okay.
No.
Okay, I would propose that we accept the revised grants policy as put forward on paper F.
Yeah. I second it.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. All those in favour? Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody,
Stephen, before we move on, could I just ask for a massive favour?
no.
Please. I mean, there are documents that need, updating, reviewing, or whatever on a regular basis. And I was just wondering, we used to do this, I'm sure. Any differences that we have made to a policy, is there any chance that you could just highlight them, just so that we can see what those changes are? Please.
But we do that before we get to the final one, which this one was. So this was the one for approval, in effect, not for review.
In fact, Chairman, we did this with the. Sorry, Chairman. We did do this with the finance document.
Yes, we do. You're right, Councillor Barrett. We do the annual meeting, the finance. Any model document, we indicate local changes.
Yeah.
That is in the published.
Because that's a deviation from a national standard.
So can we not do the same for our own internal policies, just to make it easy, so people can see the differences, especially new councillors?
Well, with respect, Chairman, it is our own policy, the financial regulations.
Yeah, I mean, the grants policy is our own policy. I think if we start having stuff highlighted and then that's used and sent out to people, that confuses people because they read into highlighted bits as what does that mean? I think it's fine highlighting things where we're going to change things.
Yeah.
And say, if we bring this forward, can we have a look at this?
Yeah.
But the final version can't have any highlights on because we want it to read as a.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But I don't remember seeing anything being highlighted before this one was presented to the council. That's all I'm saying.
I thought it had been highlighted at the meeting we considered it.
Okay.
And we took things out and put things in, I think.
It was highlighted.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, is that you happy now, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm hungry as well.
Okay, moving on now to part 2 for information. If we could do all this in one fell swoop, unless anyone's got any comments we can pick up. Item 11 is the finance. It's to receive the rolling budget, the reconciliation report, and the parish council's reserves, which are papers G, H, and I. Is everyone happy to receive those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Item 12 is the community safety. The crime data is not available until further notice, which is understandable. 12.2 is the data downloaded from the parish council speed indicator. I think that shows a bit of drop in traffic.
Yeah.
Previous ones. Again, obviously. So everyone quite happy to receive that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Item 13 is planning, to receive the planning decisions for March 2020. Paper K and paper L is to receive the minutes of the planning committee of the 9th of March.
Yeah, Stephen, sorry, can I just make a comment on paper K, please?
Yeah.
It seems as though we weren't in sync with Daventry with decisions, were we?
No.
No.
Did we get it wrong? Did they get it wrong?
I'll go take the fifth on that one.
To me, it feels like the pattern.
Yeah, I found this quite interesting, particularly the land at Paddock Lodge, Tantry Way, where we had. I remember we had a long discussion about this, bearing in mind there was an existing planning consent for a single dwelling.
Yeah.
This revised drawing provided for a pair of semi-detached. Design-wise, it looked as if it was one building, but carefully split into two.
Yeah.
But I looked this morning on the refusal comments, and they're really quite interesting. There may be some lessons learnt to ourselves here on some of the policies which the planning officer has raised in connection with his logic in refusing the application, where we were quite keen, I think from memory, quite keen to support it. So I think it may be worth us rethinking things on some of the policy notes, and that's a very good example, I think, the Paddock Lodge application. If you haven't already done so, I suggest you read the refusal document, because there's a whole list of items there which are quite interesting that we should perhaps bear in mind for other similar applications.
Do you think any of them would actually touch on how we view the Red Lion?
No, I don't believe so. That's an interesting one. I think that may be a separate lessons learned as and when that decision's made.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's a good point to raise that there's some mileage, I think, in visiting the refusal document, particularly on that application.
But on the Tantry Way one, that was refused previously by an inspector, right? So, I think I said at the time, it's going to be difficult to overrule an inspector.
Yeah.
What's come through on Daventry. But perhaps we'll look at them later.
Yeah, you can look at that at a planning meeting, can't we, and review some of the decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if Kevin is saying what the inspector says is what the inspector wants, then everything that we've said about the Red Lion is just going to be ignored, because what the inspector says is what the inspector wants and gets. Is that what you're saying, Kevin?
No, I'm saying on the Tantry Way there was a refusal by an inspector. I think it was twice, if I remember rightly. Was it twice or just once?
I think it was once, Kevin, for 2 dwellings.
Yeah, and I think there's actually been 2 applications there, and they've both been refused.
Okay.
So it's like, well, 2 have been refused, one building split in half and saying it's 2 semis. It's it's one building. Let's be honest. So I think that's why it failed. But perhaps we actually talk about that at a later time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on then. Item 14 was the Media and Communications received the minutes of the Media Communications Committee of the 12th of February. Everyone okay with that? Item 15, Parish Clerk's Report. N. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Item 16 is the general correspondence, which was paper O. It's a nice bedtime reading there. Item 17 is date of future meetings. Planning 18th of May. Media and Communications the 20th of May. Council annual meeting on the 21st of May and full council meeting on the 28th of May. So that concludes part 2. Part 3, Peter, I don't think we've got anything on that.
There's no issues to raise under part 3, Chair.
Okay. So really that takes us through then to part 4, which is urgent matters. I've not been notified of any.
No, I haven't, Chair.
Okay, so I think that ends the meeting. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.